You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts. Hello.
Hello.
We're back.
We're back. I know you've missed us.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know how long it's been at this point.
A few weeks. Several weeks.
Yeah.
We've been doing so much.
Yeah, very, very busy.
We have been busy.
But we are on season 4 still, episode 5. And we've got a few things. In fact, I have enough for several casts. Pods. Which one do you say? Do you have to say the whole thing? Anyway.
Podcasts.
I have several podcasts worth of stuff.
Okay.
But we won't do all of that today.
Oh, okay.
We'll break it into manageable chunks.
Keeping us all on our toes.
Yes. So, I have friends who also recommend books to me. It's not just a one-way street.
Right.
And I'm not going to call this person out. But I saw that they had read this book.
Can you just lip sync I knew it.
Yes. She'll also know who she is.
I was going to say, and also love you.
Yes, exactly. But I had seen that she was reading this book, and she'd put it as one that she'd liked. So I didn't talk to her about it. I just went and read it. And, I read the author. Maybe that's the case. Maybe she hasn't read this series that I picked up.
Okay.
But I thought I'll start with the series and, go from there. But so she mentioned Becky Chambers.
Okay.
And I started this first in a Wayfarer series. It's sci-fi, and the title gives that away. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And
nice.
So I felt like that could be the title of my life.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm
Crystal's
currently on a
her
small
way.
angry planet, but taking the long route. And so, I started it, and there wasn't anything wrong with it, and it wasn't terrible. It just didn't capture my attention, and so it was kind of just like I described it as just like a office dramedy, but on a spaceship.
But on its way to a small angry
planet. Yeah. So it was, it wasn't like anything just really like imagination capturing.
Yeah.
It was just like how these
the day-to-day dramas on a spaceship. Oh my gosh.
Like the guy who's the, crotchety one.
He's always getting into my food.
Right, exactly.
Has my name on it.
In my space, it has my space refrigerator or whatever. I don't know. It didn't do it for me.
That's funny.
But maybe she has other titles that are not like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe something happens later in this.
You just gotta be patient on this long journey.
And I'm not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, at this stage of the game, I'm
not
real impatient
either.
about.
No, I know.
So then I took a complete 180 and started another new book that I purchased for the library, which is called How We Can Win, Race, History, and Changing the Money Game That's Rigged, and it's by Kimberly Jones.
Cool.
And so you probably remember from 2020, Kimberly Jones is an activist, and she had this impromptu speech that was recorded just like out on the street during a protest.
Okay.
And she talks about how the game is rigged for African Americans, and that it's like a Monopoly game, and you didn't have any of the pieces, any of the properties, and then everybody just says catch up.
Yeah.
And so it was an amazing speech. If you haven't seen it, I think she's very angry at the time, but it really, I think, elucidates a lot of the feelings, in that community that particularly after George Floyd and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so this is a book, and I actually listened to it as an audio, that is basically taking that speech as a jumping off point.
Cool.
And then outlining.
Cool.
What can be done.
I think that's great.
Yeah. And so it is very serious. It is not a light-hearted read. But I think it's important. And it also, it's actually talking about actionable things. And it's,
Cool,
not
good,
just, everything is terrible, and which we know, but this is hopefully some things that can actually, strategies that we could use.
That's great. It just sounds like such a nice, not nice is not the right word, but a good breakdown sort of that history and why we are where we are now. I feel like a lot of people don't see that part of the story or even know it exists. And so I don't know. I feel like that's a nice
I think
way
that
to break that down.
Yeah, she talks about some things that, like, at the turn of the last century, where there were really thriving communities that were built up in certain places. And actually, not even around the turn of the century. Some of these things happened well into the 20th century. But where there were, segregated areas, but those communities were strong, thriving, wealthy. They were making it. And then they were, in several cases, bombed, destroyed, annihilated. And so I think that a lot of people maybe don't know a lot about that because it's not in the history books.
No, it's straight up not in history books.
And
like,
so
I was embarrassed now I can't even think of, the town, it's like the well-known town that was destroyed. Is it in Oklahoma?
In Oklahoma, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, I learned about that through The Watchmen, the TV series. I did not know about that. I was 30 years old before I knew that was a thing.
Yeah.
And I can't even think of the word or think of the name.
Now I've lost it too.
Anyway.
Yeah. But, yeah. And then there was another one in the 80s. It was for a whole neighborhood. It's diabolical. But she really does sort of, actually have a thoughtful, layered plan for how to fix it. And of course, I'm sure that her solutions are not going to be what everybody thinks is the best thing to do. But I think that she's definitely a big voice to listen to.
Great, yeah.
And she's certainly thought about it a lot.
Neat.
So I highly recommend it, and listening to it or reading, either way.
Yeah.
We've got both, so you can check it out.
Cool.
So then something a little more lighthearted is a new book by Chuck Klosterman, who is a great nonfiction writer. He writes a lot of rock, or he did. I don't want to say he writes a lot for Rolling Stone, but he writes a lot of music critiques and stuff like that. But he also writes just nonfiction in general, and he has a new book called The 90s, which of course appeals to me as the 90s kid. So he's talking about grunge, like all of the things that would have been on our minds at the time. But it's researched, and he's talking about like the things that happened that were kind of touchstones, but then goes into in depth and connects them to other things.
That's cool.
He's funny too. It's not just like a rote sort of dry historian.
I just feel like I don't know. I feel like telling about the 90s needs some sense of humor for some reason. It just, so that's great that it's not just sort of a, I don't know.
It's not a history.
A dry,
But it is funny too that not funny, I guess, because neither of these things were serious issues. But he says that the 90s actually started with the fall of the Berlin Wall, which was in 1989.
Yeah.
And then ends with the Twin Towers.
Yep.
Which is into 2000. But with those bookends, that's a packed decade of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So he talks about the wars that were happening and like how people from that generation responded to everything, which was like checking out, you know,
Yeah,
just trying,
yeah.
like, not being active and connected in the way that I think current generations are.
Yeah.
And how they were sort of the result of the boomer generation.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it talks a lot about Generation X and how that even came about, which it was, the name came from a book called Generation X.
That's right, yeah.
By Doug Coupland. And so it goes into the history of that and, you know, how that kind of took over and turned into this whole, I mean, can you imagine if you write a book 1990 and now every successive like generation is a riff on that term that you created.
Right.
Because it's Generation X, then it was Generation Y, which became millennials, which became, you know, Generation Z.
Then there's Gen Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
Yeah. So there's a lot there to parse out, you know, and
I would love to read that. I mean, I call myself a 90s kid. I was born in 1990, so you know, I was 9, you know, when the 90s ended. But
that's closer to how I am about the 80s. Probably.
Yeah. But so I've always I saw it through a child's lens, and I think it could be really interesting to read. And
I mean, you know, in there you've got the rise of the internet. You've got how the way that media has changed from then till now. Like he mentions that more people watched any random episode of Seinfeld than watched the finale of Game of Thrones.
Whoa.
Like, just that was, everybody was tuning into the same things because there wasn't other
that was the
stuff
option
to consume, you know. And also, if you missed it, too bad. You couldn't go back.
Unless years later they happened to show a rerun.
There's reruns, or they, you know, release things. Eventually they started releasing them on DVDs or VHS before that. But, so he just kind of talks about anything and everything, and it's all in kind of chunks of more like essays, you know, broken down into chapters. So
neat.
Yeah, very good. And then I was very pleased when the new novel by Emily St. John Mandel came out, Sea of Tranquility. And so she was the author of Station 11, which was our second ever big read. And it was a great one. Really, really good.
I came and moved to Nacogdoches on the tail end of that.
After that,
I was really sad too.
Yeah, it was really good. And then her follow-up book to that was called The Glass Hotel, which was also really good. And I did find out that she and Patrick Somerville, he's the one who did the Station 11 series.
Yeah, okay.
They're going to make a series out of The Glass Hotel.
Cool. Okay, well, I need to be sure to read Glass Hotel before that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that should be definitely next on your list.
Yeah.
And so Sea of Tranquility actually it's a complete new novel. It takes on a speculative fiction aspect of it. But it's some of the characters from The Glass Hotel are in Sea of Tranquility. But it took me a long time to even realize that that's who they were.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It's a different time in their lives, and it's a different set of stories and everything.
Which I really like. I like that it's like mysterious little hidden Easter egg.
Yeah. I mean, unless you had just put down Glass Hotel.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah. But it took me a while. I was like, those names. Oh, that place.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But in Sea of Tranquility, I'm not going to give too much of it away because it is builds to a big finale, big conclusion kind of thing. But it is set with characters that are a couple of 100 years apart at a certain point, and there is time travel involved. And I will say that I'm all for the time travel.
Yeah.
I love stories like
Same.
that, but I'm very hard on them.
Agreed.
Because I do not like for them to be
so many approaches. Sorry, you
Yes.
don't like them to be
nonsensical.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Because it really is. There is room to just kind of be like, make it what we want. Like this
Yeah.
is the rule, I guess.
Exactly. That's why you don't explode when you go through, you know,
right.
or why you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was very pleased with her approach to how that works, because it becomes this thing where time travel is possible. It's basically 200 years from now-ish, and people are living on the moon. They're living. They've like started traveling out into deeper space,
Yeah,
to
okay.
find other places. But there's still people living on Earth,
Right.
but they're just like planning for the inevitable collapse of the planet, so they
Right,
go to
right.
other places. And so they do create a time machine, but there's only one, and so the government controls it, of
Aw.
course. And they have like, if anybody goes back and does anything, they have like this whole operation to make sure that it doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
It doesn't make a change.
I see. Okay.
Which there's a little trickiness there.
I was about
because
to say,
how?
woo, what a feat.
Yeah. How are you gonna do that? But
Like make sure it doesn't change anything.
yeah,
Anything.
exactly. But the stories and the characters that their perspectives that it's told from, it's pretty riveting, and
Cool.
I sat down on the couch,
Yep.
read half of it, stood up, got a drink of water, sat down and read the rest of it.
Yeah. The
And-
day you took it home, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna read this tonight.
Yeah, it's very fast. It's short, but it's definitely a page turner, and you want to know
Cool.
what's happening.
Cool.
So very, very excited about that. Super excited that the Glass Hotel is going to be a series.
Right. Yeah, that's something
And
to look forward to.
Sea of Tranquility just was published, so maybe it will
Maybe
be
in the
eventually
future.
too.
Yeah. Cool.
But Patrick Somerville he's also a novelist who I've talked about multiple times, and has done many other shows that I really, really love. He does not shy away from quirky, weird stuff. And I mean like quirky, weird stuff in the sense that it's hard to grasp, but not just bonkers.
Silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Because Station
Like,
11, there were,
deep.
yeah, there were a lot of, and they / he, really did kind of turn a lot of that story on its head. Mm-hmm. But he did a good job, and
It worked.
I know, and I rarely feel that way when a story that I loved so much is changed.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because there are, Game of Thrones, for example.
Mm-hmm.
People are rabid about that. They don't want there to be changes in
Right.
that story, which I don't really get.
Yeah,
Same thing with Outlander.
yeah,
People really get mad when they don't. Both of those,
sure.
well, they followed okay, I guess, with Game of Thrones until they went on their own.
Yeah.
But Outlander does stick pretty close to the books. But I like seeing things come to life, but I don't mind it if they make a change.
Yeah, if it's going to be more entertaining on screen, I mean, because some things just don't translate well.
Well, yeah, like for example, not to get too heavily into it, but in Station 11 in the book,
Yeah.
there's a character sort of at the beginning that dies, and then that's just, they move on. The character died, they moved on. Because there's lots of stuff happening at that time.
Yeah.
But that same character in the series is introduced.
I know who you're talking
and
about.
sticks around.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want just to have this whole person
Yeah.
introduced who is important to the story.
Yes.
But
And
then
more
just they
important
disappear
to this
after
story.
that. Yeah.
For sure, the TV story. But I loved the role they played. And even after they weren't around anymore, they were still around. Like, you still saw them. And anyway, I agree. I think that...
Especially in a book like that or series where there's surprisingly not that many main characters.
Yeah.
There's a lot of background characters.
Yes,
that,
true.
but there's not that many
Well, and
important
again,
characters.
not to get to, I'll just say this one part, but our two main friends in the story they meet briefly at the beginning and never see each other again.
Ever again. Yeah.
They were like father-daughter in the series, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I needed like to root for their relationship. Like the way they bring everything together in the end, I couldn't stop crying in the most satisfying way.
No, for sure. It was really good.
Yeah. Anyway, well done.
Yes. So read all that stuff. Watch it all.
Yeah, all the Emily St. John Mandel.
And then I was really like just vibing on all the references in the book. And so they mention Marienbad. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's a reference to the movie. And I hadn't seen it in years, so I looked it up, and I had like this obscure app that has it streaming.
Nice.
It's a film from 1961, French film by Resnais, and it was written by Robbe-Grillet, who I studied a lot because he French New Wave for the film. And then the French New Novel was all happening at that time. And so it is an experimental film.
Yeah.
But I just needed to watch it because it was mentioned, you know. And it's it's an experimental film in black and white from 1961. And so it's hard to describe. But and I wouldn't say everybody go watch this because you probably
some might regret watching it.
Yeah, some people might not enjoy it, but it is it's about this like a Marienbad is like a resort.
Okay.
This fabulous hotel, and the first 10 minutes of the movie is just this like revolving repetitive description, and so this camera is just like going down the halls and through this hotel. I mean,
cool.
It's like a palace, you know? And it's like walking through the halls and looking in the mirrors. And
there's a voice.
And then, there's just a voiceover.
Okay.
And they're just kind of saying the same things, like over and over and over. And you're, what is going on?
Are they putting you in a trance, you think?
A little bit.
Are you still in it?
Yeah.
Like, everyone watch it.
Exactly.
It's the best movie.
Right. And it's like the end of it's not Close Encounters, but the one with the Donald Sutherland and that alien
Body Snatchers. Invasion of the
Body Snatchers. Where at the end they're all just like
yes. That's a great movie. I want to watch that.
So everybody watch the movie.
Yeah,
just do it. Yeah. We've been body snatched.
That's right.
It is a little bit like that. It's supposed to be kind of mesmerizing.
Yeah.
But then there's actual characters that come into play, and it's this man and a woman, and there are other people that's populated by other people, but this man and this woman, and he says that he knew her from last year, and she doesn't remember him. And so he's trying to say, well, I saw you out in the garden and you were doing this. And so then she just kind of does these poses, and it's this very... It's like I said, it's hard to describe.
Oh, I know. I'm just thinking about how much I would giggle watching something.
Yes.
Like
Oh, it is. It's hard to take it seriously. In 1961, there would be no giggling during that movie.
Oh, God, no. But like anything experimental from 1961, I promise you, I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah. But like I could see why it's mentioned in the book, because there's this recursive thing of with the time travel features, so it's like, was I here before? Have I done this? Is this is there something else? Am I just stuck here forever? Cool. It kind of goes into this, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, but it is a little bit silly at the beginning.
Well, I'm excited that I'll know the reference now when I read the book.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yay.
Yeah. Having been a film teacher is helpful sometimes.
Yes.
not in any other way. That's the only way.
These are the important ways. Don't worry about it.
Right. But you would be, most readers know that there's a lot of stuff that, and you mentioned Easter eggs. that's, what you'd call it in a movie.
Yeah.
But they're doing it in the books too.
I love it.
They're laying those things for the people who are paying attention.
I like it.
And it can be worthwhile sometimes.
I'm usually not paying attention. It's not until I read an article or see a YouTube video that I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but it is kind of like, I don't always engage that way.
Yeah.
But when I do, it's like, there's that, and then there's that.
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
going to go
just,
deep into the hole.
Yes. Yeah.
Deep.
Exactly. Yeah. So those were the books and the other things that came out of that. And so we'll switch gears a little bit and talk about
experimental films.
Yeah. And we'll talk about some of the things that I watched. Next time I want to talk about some things that I watched that were seasons of series that I've already talked about.
Oh, okay, got it.
But now this time I'm going to talk about new stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. So, speaking of the 90s, I guess I was in college when I saw Scream for the first time. And so Scream 5 just came out.
Oh my gosh, how did I not know that?
Yeah, well, it was released I watched it on Paramount Plus.
Oh, okay, I don't have Paramount Plus anymore.
Yeah. And so I got it just for that because I was curious. And so it has Courtney Cox and David Arquette.
That's right.
And,
I totally forgot that, yes.
Nev Campbell.
Yeah.
So they come back for this one. But then there's this whole new teen crowd, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, it wasn't miserable watching experience.
For a number 5 in a series, maybe it could have been worse.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
But I think in the previous iterations, it was sort of they're trying to. So the first one obviously was a parody.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, anyway. So it was, riffing on the concept of scary movies and how they're all just.
That have this
very
formula.
limited structure, and referencing that, and then as they go through that, they're kind of trying to turn it on its ear here and there and change it up,
throw in something surprising.
Yeah. And this one was just no, the original was just how it's supposed to be done, and this is what we're gonna do
Actually,
again. Yeah. So I don't know if that was your.
Yeah, if that's what you wanted out of it,
then you could have some nostalgia, I guess, there. Yikes. And then I watched Free Guy, which did not leave an impression on me whatsoever.
We watched it a few weeks ago, and Nick and I were like, I thought it was such a great idea, and they didn't go there with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was so Ryan Reynolds, it's on HBO. And there's tons of cameos.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote some down. The Rock, John Krasinski, Hugh Jackman, Channing Tatum, Jodie Comer's in it from
Killing Eve.
I want to say La Femme Nikita for some reason. Killing Eve. And there is kind of a unique cinematic take on artificial intelligence and gaming. But basically, Ryan Reynolds is a non-playable character. Yeah. And NPC.
Yes.
And
that's how I learned what that is. Or I'd heard it before, but this made me remember what it is.
Yes. But then he starts to become aware and tries to change. Yeah. He's like, well, how come I only do this same thing every day?
And it's the game is basically Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah, kind of. And so, I don't know. I was hoping for good things. But by the time it's over, I couldn't even tell you everything that happened.
I totally agree. And we just watched The Adam Project, which is the same guy who made it, and Ryan Reynolds is in it, Jennifer Garner, and felt the same way about that one. We were just it was just missing something. I don't know.
Yeah, and I like Ryan Reynolds, but I don't think it was his role.
I don't love him in everything.
Yeah.
But I like him. I don't like him in everything. And it's I didn't dislike him in either of these. I felt like it was, I don't know, I felt like it was lacking sense of humor or something. It just wasn't smart enough or something.
Yeah, he needs to be, cracking the
was it the dialogue? Was it, I couldn't put my finger on it.
It was just kind of blah.
Yeah, agreed. Which, again, I think it's such a great idea. I mean,
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
I would still watch something about that.
Yeah, so would I. Like, if they remade the movie differently.
Because we this is actually a major thing in, popular culture now, is like, is it a simulation thing?
Yeah.
So, there's people who think that we are right now in a simulation.
Yeah.
So we're essentially
NPCs?
Sort of, not really. I mean,
no.
It's a little more complicated.
If we're just making this comparison, I guess.
Right.
But it is just that, like, how much control do we have? And but I don't know. It is the concept. Yeah, I keep saying the concept is great.
It's a popcorn movie. Like, if you're just you want to get the family together, or maybe the older family together.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember either, but I don't think it's. I mean, it's definitely not for little kids.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's a little violent. We'll put it that way. So yeah, we'll leave it there. And then I watched some shows, and I wanted to. I guess something that I watched reminded me of this, and I don't think if we've ever talked about it, but there was a series, like a limited series, called Unbelievable, and Merritt Wever and Toni Collette are in it, and Merritt Wever plays a detective.
Okay.
And it's about a girl who's accosted and they don't believe her. And so
I remember.
It was really good.
That. Yeah.
And but I couldn't remember if that we'd brought it up. So I just I don't want to get into it.
Sure.
But as just remembering, I was like, that was a good series to binge, because it's
okay. I'll have to remember that one too.
Yeah. And then I started on HBO, and this was one I just kept seeing come up on the main page or whatever. The Tourist. And it's
with Jamie Dornan.
Dornan, yeah.
Yeah, I wondered if it was good.
Yeah, so I watched like the first episode of it.
Okay. And
then I guess it was no longer on the main page, and so I totally forgot, and I haven't watched any of it.
Why did they do that?
I guess because we're supposed to remember what we've seen, but
I can't remember what I ate for dinner last night.
Exactly. You got to tell me what I'm supposed to be watching. And so, for whatever reason, it fell through the cracks, and I didn't watch it again. But it's set in the Outback.
Yes.
And he plays a guy who is just driving down the road, and this truck starts tailgating him, like blasting their horn, like, and then it's pretty action packed there the first few minutes. But he gets run off the road.
Well, and it's like in the trailer, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're giving.
I'm not giving anything.
Yeah. Well, and at first, I was like, this sounds a lot like, hold on, I was hoping by the time I reached the end of the sentence, the name would come to me, the Matt Dillon show.
Yeah, I forgot about Wayward Pines.
Yeah. Just that intro part where like he wakes up and he's like, where am I? I don't know. Yeah. And people are acting weird.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so he's run off the road, he comes to, and he gets rescued. A woman, or detective, not a detective, but a sheriff's deputy or something, rescues him and asks him his name, and he doesn't know it. And doesn't know where he's from, doesn't know why he's there, and he doesn't have a wallet, and he doesn't, so he doesn't have anything that can trace him. And so he goes to, like, the nearest town to figure out what do you do next from there, And he, like, anyway... But as I was thinking about it, I was like, this is like Memento in the Outback.
Oh, my gosh. Memento, first of all, can that just... It reminds me of, like, when I was a kid, there was the Rescuers, then the Rescuers Down Under. Can we have Memento Down Under?
Exactly. That's what it seems like. So I was enjoying it, and it does... Right from the get-go, there's some real surprising things that happen.
Okay.
And you realize that there's way more to what's going on than what you think, But yeah, so I will go back to that now that I've remembered that I saw it.
I'll have to start it too. I've done that too, though.
Oh man, I need a lot of help.
This is a cry for help.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I kind of watched this when I was like cooking for the week one Sunday, because it's only like, I think it's like 8 episodes. Is It Cake? is the name of it.
Oh my gosh, I've thought about putting that on. Because
Oh my gosh.
Isn't Fortune... I can never think of her last name. Feimster.
She's one of the judges on
judges.
one episode.
Oh, okay.
They have different judges.
Oh,
every
I see.
episode.
But
Because,
it's such a funny, weird concept.
so goofy. And after
Why
I
do
saw
I,
it,
love it / get such a kick out of that idea?
I mean, it is super cheesy. So basically, it's, there's this, trend of making cakes that look like other things.
Yeah.
And I've seen that, seen it
Yeah,
on a lot of that stuff. And there's this French chef who does this too, but with chocolate. But they really are amazing.
It even just the pictures I've seen on the covers on the advertisement.
They really have upped their game on this.
Insane.
But binge watching it, maybe I wouldn't recommend, because they say, "Is it cake?" 11 million times, just so many times. And the guy the host is a comedian, and Mikey Day.
Yeah. That's right, from SNL.
Yeah. You can tell he's struggling on
by the end, his eyes twitching, and he's
what
like,
can
"Is
I
it
say to make this
cake?"
funny? Yeah, exactly.
Is it cake? So many ways to
Is it cake?
Yeah. Is it cake? Do you think? So it's either cake or it's not. It's not cake every time.
Yeah. So there's rounds, right? So they bring out 5 things, and 4 of them are real things, and 1 is a cake. And the judges have to, or the contestants have to pick it out, and then that determines who gets to make something. And then the judges...
Do the judges have to eat, the tennis ball if it's not really cake?
No. But, it is... It's silly.
That's so hilarious.
But what was funny is that I just thought it was like any of the... a lot of those cooking shows are very dumb.
Yeah.
And...
and they are just, really...
Yeah, but a lot of these people were extremely talented, and
you have
there
to
was
be.
there was a backlash about it.
Why?
I just saw all these reviews that said how stupid it was, and it was
If it's what makes you happy, make cake that looks like stuff. I don't care.
Or watch a TV show about people that do that.
If you don't like it, don't look at it.
Yeah.
How many times have I said that?
Right.
Lately.
Yeah. Just look away. Turn it off. But, so if that seems like it's something that you would want to... I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah.
But not deeply fascinating.
Okay, yeah, no, I get that's fair.
I was like, wow, that's cake.
Now
and then
I go back to cooking. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. Can I just say, and I don't know how many people would think this is funny and how many would think it's weird. I forever think it's hilarious. And I kind of feel like my friend Katie, had the idea for this kind of thing before it was a thing. When we were kids one time, she said that she wanted to open a prank restaurant where everything looked like you'd order a burger and it looked like regular food, but inside everything was just corn.
Why corn?
I don't know why. But I was like, so everyone would go there one time and never return.
Right.
I mean, terrible business.
Unless you love corn.
Unless you just love eating hamburgers that are actually corn.
I'm just picturing it. Do you cut it open and then like corn kernels?
I know, or is it like corn on the cob somehow? I want to start a show called Is It Corn?
It's just everything that's not convincingly recreated into something else. It's clearly
that's a corn cob, okay?
but made into it like a telephone receiver or something.
Yes. It has the little handles stuck into it. It's not even on the corn cob. It's not even trying to hide it.
Oh yeah, we gotta make that show.
Is it corn?
And everybody that's on it's just mad. Oh, come on. I'm tired of this corn.
Anyway.
I'm very happy about that. And so then I watched a few things that were more serious. Well, okay, getting more serious. We'll say that.
Sure.
One Perfect Shot is a series on HBO that is hosted by Ava DuVernay, the director, and she invites directors to talk about their one perfect shot from the movie.
Yeah.
And so some of them, I think there's 6 episodes. I watched half of them. The others I just didn't even care to watch. But there were some that I was very happy to see talked about.
Because I don't think I realized that's what it was about. I had just kind of, it looked interesting, but I didn't realize. Okay.
So, the first one is the director Patty Jenkins, and she wrote and directed Monster with Charlize Theron about Eileen Wuornos, and then she directed episodes of a show I loved, The Killing, that you also watched.
I loved The Killing. I didn't realize that she did The Killing.
Yeah, not all of it, but she did like one season or
this
something.
changes everything. Cool.
Yeah. But then she, like her whole career, she wanted to make Wonder Woman. And so
she got it.
She did it, and it became the highest grossing film directed by a woman ever. And my sister and I went and saw it at Alamo Drafthouse in Austin.
Yeah.
And everybody in the audience was hyped. I've never been in a movie audience that was
we were in New York, so we saw it at Lincoln Center, and we had to sit in the balcony, which it was just, that packed.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. It was wild. But my sister especially grew up loving Wonder Woman,
spinning
dressed
around.
up
I
like
remember
that, spinning around.
Yep.
I mean, and it was very emotional when she's like reveals herself and she walks across this battlefield or whatever. And that's the shot that she talks about, like getting that shot. And it was really good. It was a little bit cheesy because they do some like the director like CGI walks out into the battlefield kind of 360 and talks about it.
I kind of like that.
It's kind of interesting.
That idea,
yeah, it gets. I think in later episodes it gets a little.
I can see what you mean, but yeah.
So she's like there in the trench, and she says, and then we wanted this to happen.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of follow along.
That makes me want to watch the first one, the second one.
Yeah, so that one was really good, and then episode 2 is Aaron Sorkin.
What did he talk about?
He has only directed a couple of movies, maybe 3. But he's best known for writing The West Wing and Sports Night and all that stuff. So he's first and foremost a writer. And so he just talks about his backstory. It's only like a half an hour or 40-minute show. And so for the majority of it, he's talking about like his writing. And so, and I can't even remember which movie it was, but...
So I might skip that episode then.
It was a movie I hadn't seen, and I didn't really care to see.
Okay.
And so I skipped over that. But then I watched episode 3, the director is Casey Lemons, who wrote and directed Eve's Bayou.
I don't know that.
And the new movie Harriet, about Harriet Tubman.
Oh, yeah.
And
I did see Harriet.
That was a good episode.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. She talks about like on the day of how they're like out in this field and that they're working for the magic hour, right?
Yes.
And so it's like it's all overcast and it's gray and they're just like, oh, we're not gonna get the shot. And then so it's really really good.
Oh my gosh, I want to watch this.
And in both of them, it's not just the director, but in that one, the actress
who plays Harriet
is also interviewed.
Yeah.
Cynthia Erivo.
Yes.
And same thing with there's interviews with other people.
Cool.
That are related to it as well. So a couple of those episodes are really really good. And then I watched Phoenix Rising, also on HBO. Mm-hmm. You can tell I was just like letting whatever was happening. It was an HBO week. Which is Evan Rachel Wood. It's 2-part docuseries about her. I don't really know her abuse at the hands of Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult to watch.
Yeah.
But
I'll probably skip it, but oof.
Yeah. I'm glad that she got to the point where she could make it and that hopefully he's going to pay for his crimes.
Yeah, man.
And then a little bit of a palate cleanser. There's Gerard Carmichael has an hour special also on HBO.
Oh, yes.
Called Rothaniel. And I almost don't even want to, that's what it's called. But he doesn't say that until the end of it.
Oh, okay.
And I wish that it wasn't, I wish that that wasn't the name of it so that you would like.
Really?
Yeah. It's a small thing, but to me, I was just like, oh, okay, well, when's that going to come around?
Yeah.
And you figure it out
It's
real
a
quick.
period. Yeah.
But it's one of those where he's just like sitting in a chair, dark auditorium, one little spotlight on him. Everything's very up close. And he's just kind of talking to the audience. And they talk back.
Oh.
They say stuff. He like invites them to say something.
Well, neat.
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
And then the final palate cleanser, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend to people, but I'm kind of on this like watching other people organize stuff kick.
I really enjoy.
My house is a total disaster, so it's kind of like I'm like
I know.
putting blinders on and watching where other places look
I know.
nice.
Like if a person loves doing that, my house would be heaven for them.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping I'm going to get like some spring cleaning fervor happening to me. So I watched the started the second season of Get Organized with the home edit. And when they started, it's on Netflix. When they had the first season, I was like, who are these people? But they're, apparently they are in Nashville and they've only had a business for like 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
And they were organizing Reese Witherspoon's closet. And I was like, where did they come from?
How did you get to that point?
Exactly. And they have like their own like brand of products that I don't know. And so that was a little bit fascinating. The first season is like, who are these people?
Yeah.
How did they manage? Why are we watching a series about them? And anyway, so the second season, they get a little annoying. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
It was kind of like, I'll watch this with the sound turned off.
Got it. I just want to see the
organizing. I want to see the before and after.
I know.
Basically,
I know.
And so I can just look at that on Instagram or something.
Totally. Okay, well.
But that's basically, they were just really social media savvy.
Yeah.
And they have the home edit, THE, whatever, that, they did all this stuff. They're one of the ones who do the books in color order.
Okay.
That's one thing. The turning the books around so that they're all facing backwards, I can't get behind that.
So boring, first of all. It's
inconceivable to me, anything about that.
Why do you have books?
Exactly. Oh, they don't. I don't think they have them for.
No, they're for their decoration.
But the rainbow of the books, I guess I can see.
That looks. I mean, yeah, it looks cool. Do I think it's necessary? No. Do I think it looks cool? Yeah.
Sure, maybe.
Yeah.
I like books just the way.
Me too. Just like no order.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. But I can, with the colors, it's actually funny because, and I do this too, I think of a book by what the cover looks like.
Yep.
And we have people come into the library all the time and say, hey, there's a book with, Noah had a blue cover and a bird on it.
Yeah.
And
I have Googled probably that before.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'll be like, book about, what's it about that you can remember? Book about this bluebird, whatever cover. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I found books that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You learn really quickly what
of the keywords to use. Yeah.
But anyway, so I can get that a little bit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, and they don't always do things that I agree with.
Sure. But in
satisfying. General, satisfying.
I'm with you. Totally.
Yeah. Although there's I kind of did it a little bit. There's like the trend to, and this is not a new trend, but where you like take all of your stuff and then put your like food stuff, and put it into other containers.
Okay. The only thing I can understand that with is like cereal to keep it fresh. Like if you have one of those like plastic cereal containers,
things like that.
But like I don't need and even like your sugar, your spice, that kind of stuff, sure. But like I don't need to buy graham crackers, I don't know, that was the first thing. Yeah. And put them in a separate container. Because I can read the label on the box that says graham crackers, and they go in my cupboard.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah, I
That's
don't.
so much work.
It is. You're just how much of your day are you spending decanting things from one thing to another? I don't know, but there's some element of that I appreciate.
Yes,
because it looks tidy.
it does.
And if you have all kinds of just willy-nilly stuff, but usually the willy-nilly part is hidden, like you said, in a cupboard or something like that. But these people are like, everybody's going to want to look inside my pantry. So
I know. Apparently, they have lots of company.
I have to
and
say,
they have their company go get their own snacks, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'll get them for you. You can't see in there. Exactly.
That's me.
Don't open that door.
You don't need to go to the bathroom at my house.
It's probably time for you to go anyway. You probably just want to leave, right?
Yeah.
So let me tell you, this is going to be a nightmare for you.
Oh,
It was a nightmare for me. So, in the last place that I lived downtown, they asked me to be on the tour of like the second story. Yeah, the second story home tour.
I already am like.
And so all my other 3 neighbors that lived in the building, they were all doing it, and that's how they
Roped you into
coerced
doing
me
it.
into doing
I
it.
don't blame you.
I didn't want to do it. And so I spent weeks cleaning. And I had people over to my house normally, and I didn't. It was fine, but then
There are levels of,
Yeah.
like, depending on who's seeing. I know.
And at the time, I had a little bit of like extra furniture, clutter kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I had a big walk-in closet. Mm-hmm. So I crammed everything that I didn't want out into the closet.
Surely there's one room they won't need to look in.
Jenga into this closet. And guess where they all looked? They opened the closed doors to my closet in my bedroom. And I just thought, who raised you? Who opens? I mean, I know it's a tour,
but it's
who
a
opens the
closet.
Yes.
A person still lives there. This is not an open house, because let me tell you,
Yeah.
last summer our rented house was for sale, and we had strangers touring our home all day. You were there for oh my gosh, I was so territorial and weird about it. I hated it.
Well, while they were there, I wasn't back there with them because
Yeah.
I was just like in the dining room, just twitching,
Yes.
And then they come in like this group of like design students or something,
Yeah.
and they opened my laundry room doors and they were looking in there, and I was just staring at them like, why are you doing that? But so never again will I be involved in that. But because I thought if it's closed, they're just going to walk through and look at it. Like, I would never imagine.
Anything you need to see is out in the open.
Yeah. Like,
if the door is open, you may go through.
Exactly. And I'm not one of those people that will even look in like somebody's medicine cabinet. That's their medicine cabinet. I don't need to see that.
Private. I totally agree.
If they let me use their bathroom without telling me, oh, nope, it's time for you to leave, you don't get to use the bathroom, then I'm going to honor that.
Me too.
Did they leave this open for me to look at?
Me too.
No, then I'm not going to do it.
I completely agree.
And shame on all of you
who do open the doors. We will judge you and are judging you.
And may a chair topple off the Jenga tower and fall on your head. Because that's really what I was worried about.
Yeah, sometimes it's a safety issue too.
Yeah.
No, I hate it.
Yeah, so I just disassociated for a few hours.
I would have to.
And then, so that was that. But
oh, my nightmare.
On that note, we'll
end on my nightmare. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
As usual.
Yeah.
But we will be back
sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it won't be the same gap of time next time. Mm-hmm. And we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.